And for the record, continuation State versus Tremaine Wilbourn. Wilbourn is present. All counsel are present. The jury has submitted a question to the court, and I will bring this jury in and try to answer these questions for this jury, and hopefully we'll clear up any confusion that they might have. Have discussed the questions with the lawyers and chambers, have also discussed the court's proposed answer to that question. Deputy Smith, you bring the jury, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, you have submitted a question to the court. Madam, Ms. Smith, I'm sorry, have you been designated or elected or volunteered to be the foreperson?
Yes, sir.
We'll publish this question for the record. And the question reads as follows. Foreperson, explain the difference between page 4, final jury instructions, number 2, intentionally, number 3, premeditated. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to refer you back to jury instructions on this case. Before I start to answer this question, particularly page 1, and I will tell you again that the order and procedure instructions are given. There's no indication of their relative importance. You should not single out any one or more of them to the exclusion of another or others, but should consider each instruction in light of and in harmony with all the others. In other words, the verbal answer that I'm giving you in court, you will not put any greater emphasis on these verbal instructions as you the same way as if these was placed in writing for you. Does everyone understand that?
Yes, sir.
Number 2, elements of first-degree murder. 1, the defendant unlawfully killed Sean Bolton. Secondly, that the defendant acted intentionally. And the definition of intentionally is a person acts intentionally when it is the person's conscious objective or desire to cause the death of the alleged victim. Judges realize that definition may be confusing to jurors sometimes. So we have an alternate definition of intentionally. I will give you this alternate definition that says a person acts intentionally when that person acts with a conscious objective or desire to cause a particular result. In this case, a particular result would be the killing of another person. I've defined premeditation for you as a premeditated act is one done after the exercise of reflection and judgment. Premeditation means that the intent to kill must have been formed prior to the act itself. It is not necessary that the purpose to kill pre-exists in the mind of the accused for an indefinite period of time. The mental state of the accused at the time he allegedly decided to kill must be carefully considered in order to determine whether the accused was sufficiently free from excitement and passion as to be capable of premeditation. If the design to kill was formed with premeditation, it is immaterial that the accused may have been in a state of passion or excitement when the design was carried into effect. Furthermore, premeditation can be found if the decision to kill is first formed in the heat of passion, but the accused commits the act after the passion has subsided. So an intentional act is, again, a person's conscious objective or desire to engage in that, to cause a particular result, rather, in this case, the death of another person. And a premeditated act is one that is done after the exercise of reflection and judgment. You can actually commit an intentional act without that act being premeditated. And what I told you on Monday and Tuesday, that a premeditated act is one done after the exercise of reflection and judgment. There's no definite period of time that you have to find before you find that somebody has engaged in premeditation. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes, doesn't have to be a minute, doesn't have to be 30 seconds, doesn't have to be 5 seconds, doesn't have to be a second. But again, reflection and judgment. A person thought about doing something, and that person, after reflecting upon it, in fact engaged in that act. And I gave you an example on Monday. Again, not equating this at all with a capital murder case, but an example I gave you, if a person, me, real bad, about putting gas in my car, and my car tells me just coffee, you're now running on fumes, you're running on a reserve tank, and you must get some gas. And I look to my right and look to the left and see 2 different gas stations, in that long period of time, make a decision to go to one because it may be a little bit cheaper than the other. That's a premeditated act, one done after the exercise of reflection and judgment. It might not have taken 5 seconds, might not have taken a second, and there's no period of time that has to exist in the mind of the accused for it is not necessary, let me read it exactly, it's not necessary that the purpose to kill pre-exists in the mind of the accused for any definite period of time. So again, it's not a planned act, it's not something that has a diagram, not something that has an elaborate schematic, but just something that the person reflected upon something and the person carried out that reflection or carried out that judgment. There are no other alternative definitions that I can give you for the term of premeditation. I wish we did a better job of explaining some of those things, but there are no other alternative definitions I can give you for premeditation. Are there any other questions at this point? You may retire to resume your deliberations on this case and report back to the court the verdict that truth, justice, and justice demands. And again, I wish you Godspeed in those deliberations. Call Deputy Smith, please. For the record, the jury is out. Anything else we need to address before we stand, take another recess pending a verdict or question? There you go. This court is standing in recess and want to remain seated.
Court standing in recess. Good.